How old is the little dude over there? 13. That is young, isn't it, to get involved in this game?
Pues está pequeño, pero entre más pequeño más aprende y le gusta.
¿Cómo te llamas, bro?
Edgar Jimenez Lugo.
¿Cuántos años tienes?
¿A los cuántos años empezaste a ejecutar?
Los 11.
Imagine having a kid do all your dirty work while you sit in a lavish villa and enjoy all the luxuries of a cartel kingpin. Sadly, this is happening more than we'd like to think. The story of Edgar Jimenez Lugo stands as a stark reminder that Mexican cartels are some of the worst criminal organizations in the world. Let's explore all the ways cartels used children to do their darkest bidding and how this 14-year-old hitman was caught. In 2010, a strange case sent shockwaves through Mexico. A 14-year-old boy was arrested for a list of charges not so different from that of kingpins like El Chapo or El Mencho. It included brutalizing and taking people's lives.
¿Cómo te llamas, bro?
Edgar Jimenez Lugo.
¿Cuántos años tienes?
Edgar Jimenez Lugo was born in 1996 in San Diego, California. He was the youngest of 5 siblings, and his father sold chickens for a living. However, his mother sold narcotics, and soon enough, at least one of her sons would too. Poor Edgar tested positive for white powder in his system as soon as he was born. Because of this, his parents were both arrested and charged. Edgar and his 4 siblings had to move in with their grandmother in a village in Morelos, Mexico. But this home was even worse than the previous one. In the grandmother's home, Edgar was subjected to every kind of maltreatment you can imagine, even SA. You already know this, but children who come from such households are the most prone to getting in trouble. Using illegal substances can be an escape from intense trauma, and children from vulnerable backgrounds are the easiest to recruit by manipulative cartel members. Edgar was only 11 years old when he was arrested for the first time for assault and theft. However, he was so young that he was released immediately, with only a warning. Sadly, this was just the beginning of Edgar's criminal career. He was still 11 when his older sister introduced him to her new boyfriend, Julio Hernandez Rodilla, aka El Negro. He was also a teen, but he was already the leader of Cartel del Pacifico. As soon as Edgar's sister introduced them to each other, El Negro took Edgar, now nicknamed El Ponchis, under his wing. What he had Edgar do for him is simply stomach-turning. By 2010, Edgar had had enough. He took to YouTube and shared everything he'd done for Cartel del Pacifico. It's unclear whether he wanted to incriminate other people in the cartel, blow off steam, or just talk about his crazy life and gain some followers. However, the 14-year-old Edgar didn't realize he would incriminate himself before any other sicario. At the same time as Edgar's videos, something else surfaced on the internet. A video of Edgar and other sicarios unaliving a rival cartel member in an unspeakably brutal way. Within a few days of the video being uploaded, Edgar was arrested. On December 3, 2010, Edgar and his sister were preparing to board a flight to San Diego, California, when they were apprehended. Edgar did not resist arrest or any of the questions the detectives had for him. Even when a journalist interjected with many questions about Edgar's crimes, he did not attempt to dodge them.
14, ¿dónde te tuvieron? ¿Dónde te agarraron?
En el aeropuerto.
¿A dónde ibas?
¿A dónde ibas?
A San Diego,
¿Con quién ibas?
con mi hermana.
But that's not the shocking part. Indeed, the following questions would not be answered by most criminals when caught. In fact, in order to avoid long prison sentences, suspects will usually keep silent until they can get a lawyer, and then deny. Edgar's openness to answering these chilling questions just goes to show you how young he was at the time of his arrest. He was even younger when it all went downhill.
¿A los cuántos años empezaste a ejecutar?
Los 11.
¿Tú eres el que sales en el video golpeando? un sujeto que está colgado en una casa?
Sí.
Edgar confessed to a slew of heinous crimes before he was even taken to the police station. But he revealed something else. Everything he'd done, he'd been forced to do by another person.
¿Quién te daba órdenes de golpearlos de...?
Negro.
Yes, this was his sister's boyfriend. He wasn't just cruel, he was monstrous.
¿Te drogabas?
Me drogaba el negro.
¿Te drogaba el negro? ¿Desde cuándo te drogaba el negro?
Desde los 12.
By taking Edgar under his wing, El Negro meant keeping him sedated and threatening him into dealing with the cartel's enemies. Some of the things he had to do for El Negro are too graphic to describe here. Let's just say, the cartel's enemies faced a fate worse than death.
¿Qué tipo de arma tenían? ¿Qué tipo de armas tenían?
Cuerno de chivo. 45.
Yeah, a slight 14-year-old boy with an AK-47. His reward?
¿Cuánto te pagaban?
Los 500.
¿Semanales?
Sí.
¿Dólares o pesos?
Dólares y pesos.
¿Quién te los pagaba?
Radilla.
¿Y el radilla qué es lo que te decía para convencerte de que mataras?
Más me drogaba. No sabía lo que hacía.
Edgar was brought into a zombie-like state and taught to feel nothing when inflicting pain on others. He was the perfect sicario as far as El Negro was concerned.
¿Tienes miedo?
Sí.
¿Tú tienes miedo?
No.
¿No tienes miedo? ¿Sabes lo que va a pasar?
Sí.
¿Sabes que te van a llevar y te van a juzgar por delitos federales?
Ujú.
¿Estás consciente de eso? ¿Cuántos ejecutaste?
4.
¿Cómo los ejecutaste?
¿Eh?
¿Cómo los ejecutaste?
Los de...
Edgar had done this since he was 11. On the day of his arrest, Edgar's story reached every corner of the world, shocking many people with the reality of Mexican cartels. People usually think of sicarios as big, terrifying men, evil career criminals with no regard for human life. What about Edgar? Was he a psychopathic killer? Was he made this way? And how much at fault was he for what had happened? As the Daily Mail reported, to many people's shock, Edgar was facing just 3 years in prison if convicted, simply because of his very young age. The judge said that Mexican law allows him to preside over cases involving minors facing federal charges, and that the teenager will face charges of murder, organized crime, and other allegations in the state of Morelos. During the investigation, it was revealed that at the time of his arrest, Edgar and his 19-year-old sister were trying to flee to San Diego so they could take refuge with their stepmother. Edgar wanted to escape the horrors of what his life had become. Edgar told the judge, "I participated in 4 executions, but I did it drugged and under threat that if I didn't, they would kill me." Of course, you could say many people would say that in front of a judge, but here's the grimmer fact about cartels. The Network for the Rights of Children in Mexico estimates that over 35,000 children and teens, aged 12 to 16, are involved in heinous, organized crime groups all over the country. This number is immense. Some children are younger than Edgar was in 2010 and are made to take lives for the cartels. Don't think that any of these children want to partake in the things they end up partaking in. They are lied to, manipulated, and threatened into committing these atrocities.
Y ya estando ahí, llegó una persona que estábamos en por primera vez y nos dijo, bueno, ya están aquí, el que se quiere ir que se vaya ahorita. Y cortó cartucho con una pistola.
In other words, the only way you can leave a cartel is in a body bag. Before they arrive at their so-called initiation, many children see cartels as cool employers who guarantee money, fame, protection, and respect.
¿Cuáles son sus nombres?
Eric y Manuel,
Eric y Manuel. ¿De dónde son originarios?
de Reynosa, Tamaulipas.
¿Qué piensan hacer?
Vamos a hacer del cartel del Golfo.
El cartel del Golfo. ¿No quieres estudiar tú, joven?
No, eso ya es para niños chiquitos.
¿No te importa el estudio?
No, nada.
To little boys, cartels seem cool. They're a way to prove you're tough and brave. But once you do join, what they make you do, just to prove yourself, doesn't make you a man. They make you a straight-up desensitized monster. You do it for fear until you do it for pleasure.
going on 13 years old the first time I took a life. It's just one day, I mean, got invited to Mexico. I mean, I've done the simple stuff that everybody starts doing. Teeth out, fingers up, slowly, or...
This former Sicario calls these things the simple stuff. That's the reality of doing this since you were a child. He was still 13 when he was asked to prove his loyalty and officially join the cartel.
He pulled out a handgun, told me to kill that person, the one kneeling in front of him. And I just shot him. And he said he was putting me on his payroll.
Cartels promote the survival of the fittest rhetoric. The toughest, vilest, most psychopathic of the soldiers make it through their teenage years and survive this very dangerous game. In the end, they become the danger.
How old is the little dude over there? 13. That is young, isn't it, to get involved in this game?
Pues está pequeño, pero entre más pequeño más aprende y le gusta.
Here's the sad reality. This young Sinaloa soldier didn't like it, but no one in his family cared about his feelings. Every one of his male relatives was part of the Sinaloa, so they put a firearm in his hand and a mask on his face.
Is it your dad who's kind of like the boss?
Sí,
Why do you think your dad sells drugs?
por necesidad.
The poor boy was terrified of taking a life, and he was hoping he would never have to do it.
Do you think you could kill someone?
No,
No.
no, pues yo con las armas me siento a gusto, pero lo de que quitarle una vida a una persona no se me hace bien.
You know, a lot of people get killed each year.
Por las drogas ya no se van a pelear y no se van a matar.
In fact, this boy had other plans for his future.
No, pues estudiar veterinario. Me gustan mucho los animales.
Tragically, he never got to become one.
Va a terminar siendo mañoso. Le veo más futuro de mañoso que de veterinario.
A future? By future, does he mean an untimely death or unaliving others?
It's a bit depressing, though, isn't it, that he's probably going to have to go on to kill other human beings, because that, you know, it's a bit of a messed up life.
Pues ya estamos terminando, hombre. Lo más seguro que ese paso también lo de él. Ya anda aquí.
If a boy's family works for a cartel, he will most likely be recruited into the same cartel at a very young age. And if they don't have relatives in the cartel already, they probably come from a toxic or impoverished background. Cartels prey on young boys who are desperate to escape their homes and to make some quick cash. However, it's never as much money as they promise, and the risks far outweigh the rewards.
Do you consider yourselves kind of like terrorists?
No, nomás lo que hacemos, nada de otro tipo de acto contra la sociedad que esté mal.
Working for a cartel, you end up losing your humanity. Cartels indoctrinate their soldiers with the belief that it's them against the world. Everyone is seen as a traitor, a rival cartel member, a law enforcement officer, a politician who doesn't accept bribes, a civilian who looked at a kingpin the wrong way, and all of their families. And we all know how cartels treat so-called traitors. But these cartel soldiers don't think this is wrong.
A couple of days ago in Culiacan, a police officer was kidnapped. I suppose to me that seemed like acts of terrorism, you know, if you're kidnapping police.
Pues usted no sabe qué puede hacer el policía. Muchas veces es un policía corrupto que hacen cosas indebidas. Pero alguna razón haber tenido para ese hecho, no, a nadie lo levanta nomás por puras ganas.
It seems like soldiers have two choices. One, question the cartel's methods, try to run, and risk getting unalived or worse. In some cases, their entire family is punished, and they are made an example of in the worst way imaginable. Two, stop questioning their actions and become a full-fledged monster. Working for a cartel is illegal and morally wrong in every way imaginable. In short, you cause pain and suffering and make money for violent drug lords. The rewards? Some quick money at first. But don't imagine cartel soldiers make as much as El Chapo or El Mencho. And if they do end up making big bucks, they rarely have a chance to spend it. The life of a cartel hitman is marked by constant danger, and the ever-present risk of retaliation. Rival cartels, law enforcement agencies, and rival factions within their own cartel pose huge threats.
Do you worry that you might not make it home?
Es difícil, es una parte muy difícil porque está de por medio mi vida. Han caído bastantes compañeros a manos de la delincuencia organizada.
Hitmen are always at the risk of being hunted down by rival hitmen or targeted by authorities. This lifestyle can lead to a shortened life expectancy and a constant state of paranoia. There's also a notorious lack of personal freedom. Cartel hitmen are typically beholden to the cartel's leadership, following their orders without question. They have to move frequently, change identities, and remain in hiding to avoid detection. Contact with their families is limited, and in many cases, sicarios distance themselves from their families just to keep them safe. Also, deviating from the cartel's rules or attempting to leave the profession can result in severe consequences. Sometimes, defectors suffer the worst punishments. They are seen as supreme traitors by volatile kingpins like El Mencho. The psychological toll on cartel hitmen is huge. Engaging in acts of extreme violence and witnessing the consequences of their actions can lead to trauma, desensitization, and moral degradation. Many hitmen suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, and substance abuse issues. Edgar did it against his will, but many seek to escape through alcohol and drugs. The cycle of violence never ends when you have numbed down sicarios who have lost their empathy and humanity. Training to be a sicario is a true horror show and a wake-up call from the fantasy that cartels are a cool, badass world. Once you're in, you can only get out in a body bag. Edgar Jimenez Lugo was eventually found guilty of homicide, kidnapping, and narcotics and weapons possession. If he was over 18, he could have spent his entire life behind bars. Instead, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Some people were outraged. Others saw him as a victim, one of countless others in the horrific world of cartels. In 2013, Edgar was released from prison and moved to San Antonio, Texas. As far as the records show, he's trying to stay out of trouble. In the spring of 2011, El Negro was also arrested and sentenced to many more years in prison. Perhaps it's best Edgar moved far away from the land of horrors that Morelos, Mexico was for him. But can he ever overcome the years of unspeakable childhood trauma and everything he did for El Negro? It's tough to comprehend the full extent of child hitmen in Mexico. Just think of all the families looking for their children and not knowing where they are. Sonia Cruz, who is looking for her 14-year-old son, said, "Not knowing where your child is, it's like this horrible hopelessness. Knowing that someone took him and you can't do anything about it. You make yourself sick. You get up, you cry, you don't eat. The pain never stops." Some children have been taken far away to work for the cartels and can't keep in touch with their families. Others have abandoned their families, too embarrassed to tell them what they're doing, or scared their families will get punished if they mess up. Others, tragically, passed away. At the slightest mistake, or even if you change your mind and want to abandon the cartel, you can get unalived by a cartel. Then the cartel buries the body or dissolves it so that no one will ever find it.
Across Mexico, you have many people who are very fed up with the cartels. We are seeing record numbers of murders. We are seeing disappearing people, digging mass graves for people, corrupting the country, holding the country back.
But to the soldiers who made it through their teenage years and embraced their evil side, this is nothing.
Still quite hard though, isn't it? You know, it's like another human being. Does that ever like weigh on the conscience? You know, you think about it.
Pues no es difícil porque si no lo llevan a uno.
In many ways, Edgar was lucky to get caught. He now has a chance at a clean life, but it's a dark thought that thousands of others just like Edgar are threatened into joining brutal cartels right now. Hey, thanks for watching. What do you think about Edgar's story? Do you know other similar cases? Let me know in a comment. And before you leave, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button. See you next time. Stay safe.